Hello guys, this is Naruto Ultimate Reality. Please like and subscribe and save the video. We will keep on updating every series, so please like and subscribe and share this video to your friend who like Naruto. What if?
1. The Untold Legend. Rewrite. It was a dark and momentous night when everything changed for Minato Namikaze, the Hokage of Konoha. The date was December 10th, the day he was about to become a father. However, Minato knew that danger lurked in the shadows, and he couldn't let his guard down. His wife, Kushina, also known as the Red Death of Konoha, had a secret. She was the holder of the mighty Kyuubi, the strongest of the 9 great demons. Inherited from her aunt, Mito Uzumaki Senju, Kushina had mastered the power of the tailed beast. Mito had warned her about the risks involved, especially during childbirth. When female Jinchuriki like her were giving birth, their seals weakened, posing a threat of the beast breaking free. Minato was well aware of the destructive force Kyuubi possessed, and he was determined to protect his family at all costs. As the fateful day arrived, Minato's most trusted ninja, Kakashi Hatake, reassured him about the safety of their location. Kakashi, wearing his signature dog mask, spoke with respect, but Minato reminded him to drop the formalities. The two shared a bond beyond mentor and student, as Kakashi was the last surviving member of Minato's team, having lost Obito Uchiha and Rin before they became Chunin. Minato carried the weight of the deaths, blaming himself for not saving them. However, in the face of impending fatherhood, he set aside his guilt and focused on protecting his new family. The time drew near, and Kushina lay in bed, her hands and legs secured for safety. Minato approached her, and she woke from her slumber. They exchanged playful banter, expressing their excitement and concerns. Kushina playfully threatened Minato, vowing to kill him if the pain was unbearable. Minato teased her about their future child inheriting her fiery spirit, and they shared a heartfelt moment. Despite the anticipation, Minato made sure Kushina was alright before the birthing process began. Biwako Sarutobi, the wife of the third Hokage Hiruzen Sarutobi, arrived, providing support and checking on Kushina's well-being. Biwako, an elderly woman with an air of nobility, was not a ninja but possessed wisdom and experience. Kushina reassured her that Minato had not been bothering her and that they were discussing their future child. Biwako sensed the confirmation she needed and prepared to assist in the birth. Minato was by Kushina's side, holding her hand over the seal that contained the great demon's power. Kushina, in excruciating pain, held onto Minato tightly. He comforted her, reminding her of her strength. Amidst the tears and agony, their child was born, a set of triplets. Minato was both surprised and overjoyed by the unexpected arrival of 3 children. The oldest, a boy, had his father's beautiful blue eyes, though his facial features resembled his mother's. He also displayed faint hints of blonde hair, just like Minato. The second child, a girl, bore a striking resemblance to Kushina, inheriting her mother's face, eyes, and vibrant red hair. However, she possessed 3 distinctive whisker-like marks on each cheek, evidence of Kyuubi's chakra flowing within her. Just as the family celebrated their new, Minato was looking at his children when he heard the sound of a blast. It looks like they're under attack. Minato looks with horror when a man comes through the door. The door is closed, but that doesn't stop Masked Man from coming in. He somehow phased through the door like they never there began with. Minato looks at their intruder. He doesn't look that old, but he could tell he is powerful just by looking at him. He also has some unique abilities that let him phase through objects. Minato also sees so much blood on him that indicates he also killed everyone who stood in his way. Minato was somehow concerned about Kakashi, but that's not the main problem here right now. Here he has 3 children and an unconscious wife to take care of. If it is just him, that won't be a problem and he may defeat this masked man with no problem. But right now his main focus is to protect his family. Hokage, I suggest you give up on Jinchuriki. I will let you and your kids go unharmed, the masked man says without hint of any emotions. I will not let you even touch my children and my wife. Surrender now or I have to use force. Minato said without even hint of fear. Very well then, Mask said and ran forward with binding speed. Minato wasn't called a yellow flash of Konoha for nothing. He quickly moved to interfere with him, but unfortunately he passed through him and took the newly born boy as hostage. Minato has fear in his eyes, now that his newborn boy's life is in the enemy's hand. Now choose between Jinchuriki and this newborn child Hokage, he said, and threw baby in the air. Minato quickly moves to catch him. Mask Man also attached some explosion seals on him, so Minato doesn't have time to save both his son and wife. Minato's heart raced as he watched the masked man's cruel game unfold before his eyes. He could feel the weight of the situation pressing down on him. With each passing, the time drew near, and Kushina lay in bed, her hands and legs secured for safety. Minato also sees so much blood on him that indicates he also killed everyone who stood in his way. Minato was somehow concerned about Kakashi, but that's not the main problem here right now. Here he has 3 children and an unconscious wife to take care of. If it is just him, that won't be a problem and he may defeat this masked man with no problem. But right now his main focus is to protect his family. Hokage, I suggest you give up on Jinchuriki. I will let you and your kids go unharmed, the masked man says without hint of any emotions. I will not let you even touch my children and my wife. Surrender now or I have to use force. Minato said without even hint of fear. Very well then, Mask said and ran forward with binding speed. Minato wasn't called a yellow flash of Konoha for nothing. To interfere with him, but unfortunately he passed through him and took the newly born boy as hostage. Minato has fear in his eyes, now that his newborn boy's life is in the enemy's hand. Now choose between Jinchuriki and this newborn child Hokage, he said, and threw baby in the air. Minato quickly moves to catch him. Hokage, I suggest you give up on Jinchuriki. I will let you and your kids go unharmed, the masked man says without hint of any emotions. I will not let you even touch my children and my wife. Surrender now or I have to use force. Minato said without even hint of fear. Very well then, Mask said and ran forward with binding speed. Minato wasn't called a yellow flash of Konoha for nothing. He quickly moved to interfere with him, but unfortunately he passed through him and took the newly born boy as hostage. Minato has fear in his eyes, now that his newborn boy's life is in the enemy's hand. Now choose between Jinchuriki and this newborn child Hokage, he said, and threw baby in the air. Minato quickly moves to catch him. Mask Man also attached some explosion seals on him, so Minato doesn't have time to save both his son and wife. Minato's heart raced as he watched the masked man's cruel game unfold before his eyes. He could feel the weight of the situation pressing down on him. With each passing moment, the tension grew, and he knew he had to act quickly. Seeing the explosive seals attached to him, Minato made a split-second decision. He extended his arm, using his incredible speed and reflexes to catch his newborn son in midair. The moment was filled with a mix of relief and fear as he clutched his child protectively against his chest. However, the threat to his wife still loomed. Minato's gaze shifted back to the masked man, his eyes burning with determination. He couldn't let his fear paralyze him. He had to find a way to protect his family. Minato's eyes burned with a mix of determination and fear as he watched the masked man take his newborn son hostage. His heart raced, but he refused to let panic consume him. The safety of his family was paramount, and he was prepared to do whatever it took to protect them. As the masked man taunted him, Minato's mind raced, analyzing every possible move. He knew he had to act swiftly and decisively. Without a moment's hesitation, he focused his attention solely on saving his son, his instincts guiding him. The weight of responsibility settled heavily on his shoulders. With lightning-fast reflexes, Minato lunged forward, his body a blur as he reached out to catch his baby boy midair. Time seemed to slow down as he extended his arms, his heart pounding in his chest. In that fleeting moment, he felt a surge of relief as he successfully caught his son, cradling him protectively in his embrace. But as Minato held his son close, he couldn't ignore the explosion seals attached to his body. The realization hit him like a punch to the gut. He had been forced into an impossible choice, and the consequences were dire. He knew he couldn't save both his son and his wife, Kushina. The guilt threatened to consume him, but he pushed it aside, focusing on the task at hand. The explosive seals detonated with a deafening blast, sending shockwaves through the area. Minato was thrown backward, his body battered and scorched by the force of the explosion. The pain seared through him, but he refused to let it weaken his resolve. Masked Man's sudden disappearance with the unconscious Kushina left Minato devastated. Helpless and filled with frustration, he watched as the mysterious figure evaporated into thin air, seemingly swallowed by some unseen force. Kakashi, witnessing the heartbreaking scene, tried to confront the intruder but was swiftly defeated, sustaining injuries to both his legs that hindered his mobility. Despite his injuries, Kakashi blamed himself for not being able to protect the Hokage and Kushina. However, Minato reassured him, explaining that the masked man possessed the ability to phase through solid objects, rendering even their formidable powers useless. Determined to ensure the safety of their children, Minato made a difficult decision. Recognizing Kakashi's incapacitated state, Minato resolved to teleport him and their children to the safety of his home. It was the most secure place they could be while he embarked on the urgent mission of finding Kushina. Though Kakashi protested, acknowledging his injury and inability to defend the children effectively, Minato insisted, trusting his loyal friend to protect their precious ones. Wasting no time, Minato swiftly executed his teleportation jutsu, whisking Kakashi and the children away to the refuge of his home. Once they were safely transported, Minato's focus shifted entirely to the task at hand, locating Kushina. Minato's heart pounded with fear and determination as he frantically searched for his wife, Kushina. Every passing moment felt like an eternity, and the weight of his worry pressed heavily upon him. He couldn't bear the thought of losing her, not after all they had been through. His desperation turned into a burning rage as he swore that when he encountered the masked man again, he would make him pay for his actions. The very idea of revenge fueled his every step, propelling him forward with a resolute determination. Suddenly, an overwhelming surge of malevolent chakra enveloped the area, sending shivers down Minato's spine. Dread painted his face as he comprehended the magnitude of what had just transpired. The masked man had succeeded in releasing the Nine Tails, one of the most powerful and destructive demons in existence. Time seemed to freeze momentarily as Minato's mind raced to come up with a plan. With unparalleled speed, he darted toward the source of the disturbance, propelled by a blend of adrenaline and love for his wife. Minato's agile movements allowed him to arrive just in time, witnessing the scene that unfolded before him. There stood Kushina, barely able to stand, while the colossal form of the Nine Tails loomed over her menacingly. The hatred radiating from the beast's eyes was palpable, a reflection of its tormented existence as a sealed entity. Though the Nine Tails despised Kushina, Minato found solace in the fact that, for the moment, she was safe. Summoning every ounce of strength within him, Minato unleashed his Thunder God Jutsu, the technique that had earned him the infamous moniker of the Yellow Flash. In an instant, he teleported to his wife's side, wielding his tri-pointed kunai with a firm grip. Pulling Kushina into a tight embrace, Minato used his legendary jutsu once more, transporting them all to the safety of their home. Waiting there were their precious children and Minato's loyal student, offering a glimmer of hope amidst the chaos that had unfolded. As they found themselves in the familiar warmth of their household, Minato felt a mix of relief and determination. He knew that their struggle was far from over, but he also recognized the strength that resided within their family. With unwavering resolve, Minato vowed to protect his loved ones and bring an end to the masked man's reign of terror, no matter the cost. Kakashi's heart raced as he initially mistook the approaching figure for an enemy. However, a wave of relief washed over him when he realized it was his sensei, Minato. Concern etched across his face, Kakashi couldn't help but voice his worry. "Is Lady Kushina okay, sensei?" Minato's expression softened as he replied, "She is all right for now, but we have more pressing matters to attend to." That man somehow broke the seal and freed the Kyuubi. With a determined gaze, Minato added, "You stay here. I have the village to protect." Without waiting for a response, he swiftly teleported away, leaving Kakashi behind. Meanwhile, atop the Hokage Tower, Minato surveyed the chaotic scene unfolding below. The immense power of the Nine Tails had enabled it to breach the village's defenses and wreak havoc within. Minato deduced that the man responsible must have teleported the beast directly into the heart of the village. The sight of the village's destruction weighed heavily on his shoulders, knowing that humans had sealed the Kyuubi away for over a century. As Minato observed, a menacing glow emanated from the nine tails, signaling its preparation for its most dreaded attack, the Bijudama. The air crackled with an amalgamation of red and blue chakra as a massive sphere formed in its gaping maw. The destructive power of this chakra cannon aimed to obliterate the entire village in one fell swoop. But before it could be unleashed, Minato's lightning-fast reflexes kicked in, and he teleported the Bijudama to a nearby forest, sparing the village from annihilation. Realizing that engaging the Kyuubi within the village would only spell further disaster, Minato strategized his next move. He employed his unparalleled Flying Thunder God technique, instantly teleporting himself to the beast's side. The village's safety remained his utmost priority. With precision and speed, Minato transported the rampaging Kyuubi away from the village, determined to confront the demon in a more controlled environment. At this critical moment, Minato stood in the midst of chaos, his mind burdened with the weight of his choices. He locked eyes with the wise and concerned Hiruzen Sarutobi, the respected third Hokage of the village, who had rushed to his side. Minato, what has happened? How could Kyuubi have been released from its prison? Is Kushina safe? And where is my wife? Hiruzen asked, his voice filled with worry for his beloved spouse. With a heavy sigh, Minato gathered his thoughts and prepared himself to share the grim truth. Hiruzen, someone attacked us in a secret location, that his thoughts and prepared himself to share the grim truth. Hiruzen, someone attacked us in a secret location, managing to kidnap Kushina. I fought to rescue her, but in the midst of the chaos, Kyuubi was set free. Regrettably, aside from my wife, our children, and Kakashi, no one else survived the encounter. That masked man mercilessly took the lives of all the guards present, Minato replied, his sorrow evident in his voice. Hiruzen's eyes widened, and a mix of shock and grief swept over him. The magnitude of the situation settled upon him, and he understood the gravity of the decision that lay before Minato. As the village descended into despair, Minato's mind raced with thoughts of his family, his duty as Hokage, and the future of the village. The image of his wife, Kushina, haunted his thoughts, knowing how fiercely protective she was of their children. He also understood the immense power held within the Uzumaki bloodline, a power capable of withstanding the overwhelming chakra of Kyuubi. The weight of the choice pressed heavily on Minato's heart. On one hand, he could protect his children, shielding them from the burdens of sealing Kyuubi within him, but it would mean risking the village's survival. On the other hand, he could sacrifice one of his children, saving countless lives but forever altering the fate of the chosen child. His mind clouded by the agony of decision, Minato knew that time was running out. Kyuubi's destructive rampage threatened to devour the village, and he could not delay any longer. Seeking a moment of solitude, he withdrew to a quiet chamber within the Hokage residence, hoping for clarity in the midst of chaos. Time passed as Minato contemplated his options. The cries of anguish from the village echoed in his ears, fueling his determination to end this catastrophe. Eventually, the path he had to tread became clear. Minato emerged from the chamber, his resolve renewed. Though the decision weighed heavily on his heart, he knew what had to be done. He found Hiruzen, who had patiently awaited his return, his gaze filled with understanding and support. Hiruzen, Minato began, his voice steady, I have made my choice. It pains me to do so, but I must seal Kyuubi within one of my children. It is a heavy burden, but our family carries the bloodline of the Uzumaki, and only they can withstand Kyuubi's chakra without succumbing to its power. Hiruzen nodded solemnly, recognizing the depth of sacrifice Minato was about to make. Together, they devised a plan to protect and support the chosen child, ensuring their safety and nurturing their potential as they grew. Hiruzen Sarutobi, although currently burdened by grief over his wife's death, was known as the smartest man in the village. He had earned the title of the professor for a reason, you explained to one of your children. So it's safe to say that Kushina gave birth to more than one child. Yes, that's correct. We have 3 children, 2 girls and 1 boy, Minato confirmed, a glimmer of pride shining through his sorrow. Despite the dire situation they found themselves in, the mention of their children brought a smile to his face. Filled with determination, Hiruzen turned to Minato and made a request, can you take me to them? I have an idea that will ensure none of your children have to sacrifice their lives in the sealing process. Minato, slightly confused but trusting in Hiruzen's wisdom, complied with his request. Using his teleportation technique, he transported the 3rd Hokage to their home, where their children awaited their return. Upon seeing them, a warm smile crept across Hiruzen's face. They are beautiful, Minato, he remarked, his eyes filled with affection for the young ones. Now, here's my plan. Instead of choosing only one child to bear the burden of the 9-tailed fox, we will seal it within 2 of your children. This way, both of them will have a chance to survive and learn to control their chakra. Hiruzen's plan offered a glimmer of hope amidst the darkness that had enveloped the village. The 2 powerful Hokages stood together, their determination unwavering as they vowed to protect their children at all costs. What are you saying? How can we seal Kyuubi inside 2 of them? Minato asked, his confusion evident. Hiruzen, aware of the gravity of the situation, calmly responded, Minato, you know what the Reaper Death Seal is, right? Minato's eyes widened at the mention of the technique the 3rd was suggesting to use. The Reaper Death Seal involved sealing someone's soul within the belly of the Shinigami. However, the caster of this jutsu had to submit their own soul to the Shinigami as well. You can't use that jutsu. You are going to die if you do, Minato replied, fully aware of the sacrifice it demanded. This is the only way, Minato. And you know it, Hiruzen replied firmly. Besides, Biwako is also gone, and my sons are old enough to take care of themselves. But you have a wife and children to take care of, he added, considering Minato's responsibilities. I can't change your mind, can I? Minato stated, more as a statement than a question. Sarutobi looked at all 3 of them before finally saying, we are going to use girls. They already have the whisker marks that suggest they were born with Kyuubi's chakra affecting them. Hiruzen's suggestion struck a chord with Minato, and he reluctantly agreed. The weight of the decision settled heavily upon their hearts. Minato couldn't help but worry about the fate of the chosen girls, but he understood the dire circumstances. The village's survival depended on their sacrifice. It was a bittersweet moment, knowing that he had to entrust the lives of these young girls to the unpredictable nature of the shinobi world. After teleporting the 3rd Hokage and his 2 girls to the location where he had earlier teleported the 9 tails, Minato swiftly devised a plan to buy enough time for Hiruzen to seal the rampaging beast. With his incredible speed and agility, Minato engaged the Kyuubi in a breathtaking display of ninjutsu, skillfully dodging its ferocious attacks and countering with precise strikes. Hiruzen wasted no time and immediately began performing the sacred Reaper Death Seal. As he channeled his chakra and focused his will, the ancient and formidable Shinigami materialized behind him, its presence instilling both awe and fear. With a mighty grip, the Shinigami took hold of the Kyuubi, its immense power barely contained. The Shinigami, guided by Hiruzen's expert control, started the process of dividing the Kyuubi's soul into 2 distinct entities. With each tear, the yin chakra and yang chakra were separated, their essence pulsating with overwhelming energy. The air crackled with intensity as the Kyuubi's divided soul took shape, ready to be sealed once again. Recognizing the urgency of the situation, Hiruzen summoned his deep knowledge of sealing techniques. Calling upon the ancient 8 trigrams sealing style, a technique passed down from the first Hokage's wife, he expertly performed the intricate hand signs. The air shimmered with ethereal symbols as the sealing jutsu began to take effect. With profound concentration, Hiruzen sealed the yin half of the Kyuubi's essence into the young girl with the vibrant red hair, her determined gaze reflecting her newfound burden. Simultaneously, he entrusted the responsibility of the yang half to the other girl, whose hair gleamed like strands of golden sunlight. They stood tall, ready to bear the weight of the beast's power within them. The Shinigami, its task completed, returned to the realm from which it had emerged, the echoes of its presence lingering in the hearts of all who witnessed the momentous event. As it departed, it consumed Hiruzen's soul as the ultimate price for wielding such formidable sealing power. Minato, relieved to see his girls safe and unharmed, embraced them tightly, their safety bringing warmth to his heart. Deeply aware of the sacrifices made on this historic day, he vowed to honor the memory of the fallen and ensure that the third Hokage's selfless sacrifice would forever be remembered. The village of Konoha, despite the heavy losses suffered, found solace in the knowledge that the indomitable spirit of their fallen hero lived on within the two young bearers of the Kyuubi's power. The path ahead would undoubtedly be arduous, but with Minato's unwavering support and the strength of their bond, they would persevere and protect the village they held dear.
This is the end of the video. Please like and subscribe. Send then video to your friends who like Naruto. What if?